Yo, welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but of course, the love of absence isn't the absence of love, if you know what I'm saying. I don't even know what I'm saying. I just made that up. But yeah, long time no see. Hope everyone is good. And let's just get into it, man. Don't even want to waste time. I got my notes right here. And I do just want to take this time to discuss this Arsenal versus Newcastle match. Arteta called this game one out of the last remaining five, right? So obviously, my understanding is that this guy knows what is at stake. City have caught up to us, obviously. I think it should have been a 12 point, 9 point gap at least, would have been more ideal. But hey, here we are. We're pretty much now duking it out on points as well as, what's it called? Goal difference. Goal difference. So, not an ideal situation. We had plenty of times in the season to pull away and to, be a bit more comfortable. But here we are. We're in an uncomfortable situation. Very Arsenal like, right? To wrap up a season where we were on top for most of the time. Obviously, had a few injuries here and there, bumps and bruises that hurt us. But yeah, the situation that we're in is less than ideal. So, I mean, the expectation for this Newcastle game, obviously, with everything that's at stake and where we are with our main rivals, the expectation would have been to start seeing more free flowing football, right? I mean, that's what our manager says. We're going to play with more courage, guys. We're going to take more risks. I mean, he said that after the Man United game. And everything that we've seen after that has been the exact opposite. So, for this Newcastle game, you would have expected, okay, let's try get ahead on goal difference, especially after seeing Manchester City only score one goal against Burnley. But that wasn't the case. The reality is it was a painful game to watch. It was. It was a painful game to watch, as the same as the last 5, 6 games have been painful to watch. Um, it's just we're just in a bit of a tough situation. And the fans have obviously been a big talking point in terms of the atmosphere that they create around the Emirates. Obviously, we're at that point of the season where, look, City have got the drop on us. We are not in control as much as we want to be. We have had a bunch of defeats in the last couple of games, and 22 years. Is it going to be 23 without a title? Like, we're so close. We are so close. And yet it feels like we are so far. So I understand the anxiety that comes from, the Emirates Stadium. It's kind of whack when opposition players want to use that to their advantage, right? Like that other Bournemouth player was like, "Oh, you can sense it, and we can take advantage of that." Etc. Etc. So clearly the anxiety is palpable, and it's not just the wait for a trophy, but I think it's also the football that is being played. Arsenal have been known to play entertaining football, free flowing passing football, and look, in the past that has not gotten us to a title. It's gotten us a few FA Cups, fair enough, but for the most part, we have been bullied. We've been bullied, fam. So we've had to adopt this pragmatic method of playing football, which is boring, right? It's safe, but at the same time, I don't know. We're still vulnerable. We're still vulnerable, especially against mid-table teams, which makes absolutely no sense. When this game started, I mean, I tuned into this game at 25 seconds, and Newcastle were already putting away their first chance 25 seconds into the game. So obviously the nervousness is something that these players are taking advantage of, right? And they came out wanting it. Of course they want it, right? It's against Arsenal. They've been on a bit of a losing streak, but it's like, oh man, what better way to snap our losing streak than against Arsenal? But thankfully we didn't have an Anthony Gordon um, audition, which was great news, because I think that would have put us in a bit of trouble there. But Arsenal, or should I say Newcastle, came out wanting this. They came out on the front foot, wanting to get an early goal. And fortunately, Osula missed that chance. I mean, that was hilarious, right? You don't see that often, but man, missed the ball entirely. Um, Bruno came out with a chance as well, and failed to convert that. But Newcastle really wanted it. They came out the gates. They came out swinging. Arsenal, of course, took a bit of time to get into the game, but once we started stringing those passes together, we were on the offensive. But I think a glaring weakness that Arsenal has is that second ball, right? And this is something that I saw against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup. With that second ball, we always tend to lose it. Weirdly, I mean, it's a bit better when Kai Havertz is on the field, right? But with Gyökeres, especially when those long balls go out, it's like, yes, he can get a touch on it, but best believe that second ball is lost. So we're seeing a bit of that as well against Newcastle. You know, that second ball does seem to be a weakness. It's what killed us against Manchester City in the last game we played where they beat us 2-1. But yeah, obviously Newcastle came out the gates wanting to prove a point, wanting to spoil the party. But thankfully, you know, Arsenal were first to convert with a string of corners, some short range corners, which the fans were, of course, not too happy about. And I understand, right? Arsenal, especially the corners this season, the corner goals, the set piece goals have dried up. That well has dried up. In fact, it has dried up like a date when the guy says, "Yo, can we split the bill 50-50?" Like it has dried up. There is no more set piece goals. We should not even expect any for the remainder of the season against Atletico, against our remaining games in the Prem. The set piece goals are done. Okay, so obviously they needed to have a bit more improvisation, considering that the opposition always expects us to launch it into the box where Gabriel is. So shout out to the innovation, right? Obviously the fans weren't trying to see that until we got the goal. So shout out to Eze for that goal. We need that man. We need Eze in this run-in. He looks like a player, or rather he is a player who can grab a game by the scruff of the neck, take charge, and get us a victory. And he showed that. He showed us that against Crystal Palace the first time we played against them. And, you know, he's shown us that now. I mean, he's shown us that numerous times in the season, let's be real. But we needed that goal. And it really lifted the stadium. It lifted up, I was going to say the players. But look, we went back to default settings, right? Trying to guard a 1-0 lead. But we just need that guy. We need that guy in the run-in. Can't even lie to you. He is important and he steps up. There was some good news, and of course there was some bad news. The good news is that Saka is back from injury. The bad news is 1 in, 1 out. We saw Havertz go down with an injury. Oh, but they also pronounced that Calafiori is back. Okay, so obviously we can't have 2 players come in without 2 players go out. And unfortunately, that second player was Eze. Arteta did say that it's nothing too serious, so we're going to see. But look, even if it's 2 weeks, guys, if it's a 2-week injury for Havertz, it's still pretty serious because we're in the business end of the season. And we saw that when, you know, Havertz, when Havertz went off and Gyökeres came on, the levels dropped a bit, right? We weren't able to keep the ball. And when Eze went down early in the second half, the levels dropped completely. I mean, we went back to the default Martinelli, Gyökeres, and Madueke front three, which is a horror show. It is an absolute horror show. These guys are runners. There is no technicality. Obviously, Madueke was making some questionable decisions. When he wasn't given space, he would try and shoot. When he was given space, he would pass it, and it's just like, okay, what are we actually doing here, guys? What are we actually doing? So that lineup is definitely inevitable. And I think, look, one thing we can definitely be thankful for is the fact that Arsenal is a bit of a challenge to score against, and Newcastle didn't have their best attackers on. So that ended up being our saving grace because, geez, guys, the way we were playing, my word, the chances, the passes, it just became a tough watch. It became a tough watch, and the cameramen were giving us that work, looking at the fans around the stadium, and you could see the anxiety, you could see the angst, you could see that, oh man, people are waiting for this game to be done, or at least for us to get a second goal, which didn't end up coming. But listen, man, Arsenal fans at the Emirates are giving us content, bro, in terms of worry and anxiety and trauma. We're getting content. It's actually pretty crazy. There were a few chances where, of course, Odegaard, our number 8, our captain, could have released our striker, but obviously didn't, which starts to beg the question, like, yo, do Arsenal players trust our striker, our gunman, who, mind you, has got the most goals? He's our top scorer in the season, but they just can't seem to release him for a pass. And look, the fact that he's got 18 goals is a massive achievement, especially in this system, right? I don't think this is a system for him to thrive. It really highlights his weakness, especially when he gets the ball and like passes it back, and You know, he's a runner. He's not a hold up play kind of player. You know, he should be the final point, in my opinion, of where the ball goes in order to get that goal. And I think proof of that was obviously when he had that chance to square it to Saka, failed to square it, and listen, man, even the commentators were like, oh my days, even the crowd, oh my days, even me, oh my days. I'll tell you something crazy. My wife, I was watching the game with my wife, or a bit of it. I mean, she came and sat down for a few segments of it, and she said, "Oh wow, this Newcastle team is a good defensive team." Can you clock how mad that is? Can you clock how crazy that is? Newcastle is a good defensive team. I don't know, man. I don't know about all of that, but at the end of the day, I do think that the stick that Gyökeres gets is quite unfair, considering that, look, he's not in a system that plays to his strengths, right? I don't know if that's going to change. I still think it's his first season. He didn't have a preseason, so the fact that he's our top scorer, massive achievement. I really think things might be different next season, especially if we come out with the silverware, right? I think if we get this title, there'll be some breathing space. Arteta will be able to breathe. You know, there'll be a bit more relaxation on the ball. No more pressure because we've won it, right? I don't know if it'll be the same thing with the Champions League, but look, if we can just win this title, guys, I'm pretty sure that the football that we see next season will be as attractive as it needs to be. So, yeah, that was the Newcastle game, man. Tough watch. A lot of anxiety in that performance. And if we are going to get it over the line, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. Don't even be surprised if we see 1-0 wins for the remaining fixtures, and we just hope that Man City will drop points, because I don't think we're going to go crazy on goal difference. Our players are tired. You saw when that final whistle went off, Odegaard hit the floor, like most of them hands on knees, most of them on the floor, like they were gassed, bro. They were gassed. And I don't think that's just the game. I think it's the season. These guys are tired. Zubi has played every minute. Come on, man. Or should I say every game? Come on. Crazy. But on the bright side, we did get to see some Miles Lewis Skelly minutes in the midfield. And I mean, he came through and did a pass that broke the lines to Saka, who also shows a massive difference, right, when Saka is on the field compared to when Madueke is on the field, right? Because the confidence that Saka plays with, he plays with this football IQ. He knows what to do, when to do it, you know, whereas, our other candidate likes to just run out the ball for a goal kick. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Madueke really needs to work on his game, to be fair. I think he's got a high ceiling. And once again, this is also his first season with us, right? I try not to be too critical of players in their first season with Arsenal. Obviously, I understand that, you know, we're win now. We're trying to get the title. But at the same time, Arteta's system, guys. Arteta's system is a bit of a sketchy one, you know. So I do think that's with time, players do get better. We've seen it with Trossard. Well, yeah, let's not even talk about his season right now. But, you know, we've seen it with Trossard. He was good when he came through, but his second season, he was super clutch, man. Man was on it, you know. Partey, I mean, he was also excellent in his latter years of the Arteta regime before he left. You know, so I do think sometimes with some players it might take a bit of time. Some do come in and grasp it real quick, but others, they do just need a bit of time. So I'll try not to be too critical of Madueke, but 52 M's. Come on, man. 52 M's. 52. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's insane. So anyway, all eyes are on the Champions League game against Atletico Madrid, which, let's not fool ourselves, right? Yes, we walloped them in the group stages, but they're a different team now. And mind you, they've managed to rest all their first-team players, whereas our first-team players are gassed. So I think it's definitely going to be a different fixture. I think maybe, you know, if they're watching their tape, if they're paying attention, maybe they've got us all figured out. So look, I don't have too much hope about a Champions League, right? Look, I barely even have any hope about a Premier League. So maybe Arsenal will surprise us at the end of the day. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. If they do it, great. If they don't, then let's have some conversations about our man at the helm. You know what I mean? But look, let's try and stay positive. Atletico next, and I think it's a Fulham, followed by Fulham over the weekend. These are tough fixtures, guys, and you know, like every game has been this season, every game is a final. Every game is important. Every game is important. And yeah, we mustn't sleep on our laurels. So come on, boys. Let's get it done. Let's get this title. I don't want to be having those conversations about our manager, man, but I'm starting to see it. Is he learning from his mistakes? Maybe you can let me know in the comments. Is he learning from previous seasons where we have fallen short around this time? I don't know. But I guess there's no better time to see it than right now in the remaining games. So come on, you Gunners.